Today we're taking a look at the 2012 film The Ghastly Love of Johnny X. It was produced, written, and directed by Paul Bunnell, and it is an independent film which was released by Strand Releasing. It's a very interesting and unique film. It's definitely treated in a very throwback era type mode or method. It's also one of the last films which was recorded or filmed on the Kodak Plus X film, which during the process of the making of the film actually became discontinued and caused quite of an issue in trying to gather enough film to complete the movie, but obviously they managed to pull it off. If I remember correctly, the filming for this movie started in 2004, and due to just some financial issues, the project had to be placed on hold and wasn't picked back up again until about 6 years later. So of course, during that time is when the film stock was discontinued, but in all honesty, the black and white really does help the film. As far as the transitioning in years, you really can't tell whether or not the actors have aged, and it also just kind of lends to the, I guess, the cheesy or the hokiness that they were going for. Obviously, it's somewhat of a 50s type creature feature, but you've got extraterrestrial alien juvenile delinquents, or, you know, basically just the whole hoodlum type story, which kind of feels, or it kind of reminds me of, bits of it just kind of remind me of Rebel Without a Clue to a degree, but you also have some of the outer worldly elements. And although the director may not necessarily consider the film a musical, it does have song and dance numbers, which, I don't know, I guess you could say just because of the time period piecedness of it, that it's, I don't know, kind of partially West Side Story-ish. So you definitely have a lot of things going on with this film. You also have elements which are being borrowed, or I guess you could say homaged, but one of the more obvious ones is, of course, the Grand Inquisitor at the beginning of the film. His hat totally screams DeVoe, but it works, so who cares? It totally works. So the film opens with, I guess you could say, somewhat of a trial being held for the leader of a gang called Jonathan Xavier, and of course his group of misfits, which are referred to as the Ghastly ones. But due to his defiance and unwillingness to conform, he is banished to Earth. And I guess you could say, to a degree, what really brought this on was, of course, the fact that he doesn't want to uphold the planet's morals, but he's also stolen an item referred to as the resurrection suit. So later, as we discover, this item does exactly as you would assume. It does resurrect the dead to a degree, but it also allows for body manipulation, I guess you could say, just kind of a forced telekinesis, if you will. So we skip to the gang's time on Earth. It's not necessarily stated how long they've been there exactly, but during the course of time, Johnny's girlfriend Bliss has left him and stolen the resurrection suit. I guess you could say she's had enough of Earth life and wants to leave, and I guess she feels that stealing the suit would have been enough to prove her point. So of course the group is in pursuit of the girl. They eventually do get a hold of it, but of course along the way you've got just the remnants of the two kids that still love each other, but she's also just taken up with some new guy, I guess just to make Johnny jealous. So during his pursuit of Bliss and her new boyfriend, there is a gentleman who takes an interest in this resurrection suit of Johnny's and proposes that he helps him get the suit back under the condition that Johnny has to do something for him in exchange, which in this case would be resurrecting a dead singer who we later realize is also an alien and is Johnny's father. So there's just a bit of a tender moment there when Johnny returns to the room to view the corpse and just kind of says what he has to say. But of course he does follow through with his promise once he's retrieved his suit, and that's honestly where a lot of the more fun element starts, is of course you get to meet this kooky zombie alien type character whose face is literally falling apart, as well as just other characters that just kind of come up throughout the course of the film. But you know, it's definitely a very interesting story. Like I've said, you have multiple elements from various genres, and they all seem to just kind of come together in piece well. They come together very nicely, and you really do have this very multifaceted story. Yes, you've got the cheesy element, but it's very reminiscent of films from the 50s. To a degree, you've got the misguided youth element, and throughout the course of the film, I guess you can say Johnny just kind of wakes up and realizes, and eventually, I guess you could say, makes amends for his actions and returns the resurrection suit, which allows the entire gang to return back to their home planet. Of course, I guess Johnny and Bliss decide that Earth is good enough a place as any, so they decide to stay. So it's a basic plot. You have a lot of throwback elements to it, which even the hair and clothing seems to be authentic. You really don't have anything which looks like it's from another era and is forcing itself to pass off as 50s. So the costume, makeup, hair, everyone was very authentic as far as the timepiece or time period that they were portraying, which really does add to the film, and everything was excellently done. There are also numerous fun features on the DVD. You've got featurettes, you've also just kind of got somewhat of a mockumentary of the making of the film as well as a couple of Easter eggs, which is definitely fun. I really don't see too many things like that on DVDs these days. The first one is of course on the main menu, and it's located on Johnny's left shoulder. If I remember correctly, the Easter egg is just an outtake from the film. The second Easter egg is on the special features menu, and it's actually located on the license plate of the vehicle, and that just kind of gives you more of like a little behind the scenes type thing, just kind of a random going on. But it's definitely a very well produced film, a lot of fun, especially if you love vintage type stuff, or just, you know, retro throwbacky type things. But I would say it's definitely a fun film. Even if you only watch it once in your lifetime, just give it a go. It's definitely worth sitting down and taking a look. Another interesting thing which I really don't see too much of is on the commentary for the film. There are portions where you actually get alternate versions of the film score played, so you actually get to experience a different version of the film musically. But for those of you who are interested, you can definitely check out the website johnnyxmovie.com. That will definitely take you to a link where you can either digitally rent, or if you decide to purchase the film, then it will take you to that route as well. But like I said, I think it was a very well made movie. Granted, the director did have some trouble getting the film done, but ultimately he accomplished this, which definitely tells you that a lot of a lot of work as well as a lot of himself went into this film. So I would say definitely, if you are curious, take a look. It's definitely worth taking a peek, and I will talk to you guys later.